Welcome to the New England Business Alliance podcast. Connect your business with the right resources.
Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the New England Business Alliance podcast. Today, our guest is Joanne Grigoriev, and she's going to talk about entrepreneurship and the rather unique journey she took as a second-generation entrepreneur. Welcome today, Joanne.
Oh, thank you, Meryl. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
I'm so fascinated by the fact that you grew up in an entrepreneurial household, which is still relatively unique. What was it like growing up?
Well, it's all I ever knew. You know, it was amazing. It's wonderful. My parents were always home, and we actually have two sisters. As we grew up, we started participating in the family business. So I'll tell you, my father was a diehard entrepreneur, a Dutchman, and he was the oldest of 9, and he was supposed to inherit the very successful watchmaking jewelry business in Holland. And he just couldn't see himself doing that. So he skipped out and went to Canada to make his own way, and met my mom, of course. And after just getting a job in Toronto, where they settled in, doing a bit of that kind of work, he quit and he said, I'm going out on my own. I hadn't even, I didn't even know all of this yet. What he did was he got one of his statues of the Madonna, just a small one. He took photographs of it, and in such a way that he was highlighting the nuances of the sculpture, the fineness of the wood. And he took that picture and he went door to door to all the furniture stores that he could find in Toronto until he landed his account. And he landed a big one, and his photography business started. He became well known in the city, did lots of weddings, and we grew up with that whole milieu of, camera equipment and a dark room in the basement, and greeting customers and showing them the photo albums of my father's work. We all participated in all of that, and it was woven into the fabric of our family life.
Fascinating. So, did you go to college for business?
I grew up also, this family is very musical. My dad bought a piano before they bought a bed and a couch. So, and classical music was being piped through the whole house, all 3 stories. And I fell in love with music making, and especially playing the flute. And that's what I studied in school, and even in university. Of course, I went to the Royal Conservatory, but I'll tell you, the family was saying, well, at least take music education because you'll be able to be a teacher in high school. And I said, I don't think I can do that. I just want to play my flute and perform. And they blessed that. They let me do what my heart called me to do.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I studied the flute as well. And yeah, unless you're planning to do a lot of classical music or, some Jethro Tull or Chicago covers, you need to have that extra thing. So what made you start moving away from music? Did you get that orchestral job you were hoping for?
Oh, yes. I started my career in Toronto, and then met my husband, and we moved to the States and continued here. Teaching at the Suco College, at Hartwick College, and performing in the area for 20 plus years. So it was a good run, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved my students, created ensembles with the flutes, and we did mock auditions. So we had a fun time there at the college.
Very cool. Well, you were mentioning your husband, and you also mentioned your father taking pictures and going to door-to-door to furniture stores. I see where this is kind of joining together with the word of furniture. So tell me what you and your husband have been doing.
Yes, we have had a furniture design business, since we were married. My husband, when I met him and when we were engaged, he was a ferry pilot. Meaning ferry pilots, they deliver new aircraft to faraway destinations. And what happened in the early 80s was there was a big economic slump. So aviation there was a lull. And we still needed to have an income. And some of our music friends asked my husband to dip into his hobby of woodworking and make them a bed, something really unique. And he did. And he took pictures of that because I said, you know what? I think you can sell that. I said to him, right? You got to identify creativity too. And he took those pictures to stores. And what the store told him was, well, that's really amazing. But what we need is something that is a couch, something that unfolds into a bed, and something that has storage area. And what he did was he went home and he designed what became the first patented futon in the United States Patent Office.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So we've been doing that business all along in different iterations. Sometimes we had our own manufacturing and we were supplying stores all over the country. At one time, we were getting royalties for designs. So different iterations and of that, responding to global trends and markets.
Very cool. Yeah, I saw the website with the showing this beautiful futon and to sleep on your porch. It's like, that is so
we're
cool.
Targeting kind of a niche market now for outdoor sofa beds for your porch. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. But okay, you were in music, you were in furniture making, but you also got really into health and wellness. What triggered your interest in the whole health and wellness market?
Yeah, I think that trigger, almost all of us will experience something of that nature at one time. My dad, when I was 16, was diagnosed and they did cut it out. They said they got every last bad cell and that he would be fine. And he was fine for another 20 years until I got the phone call that for my sister, Dad's in the hospital. He has a massive tumor this time in the brain, and you got to get home right away. And the doctors, again, they did what they do, which is that's fine. They cut it out and they said, we got it all. And he did pass a year and a half later after very aggressive treatments. So where I fit in with my health and wellness is I was just, I'm a flute player and I make furniture. I didn't know anything about this stuff, about health and wellness. All I had was a feeling that there's got to be a better way for us to take care of ourselves. Between the two diagnoses, my mom was doing all she could. She was feeding us organic food and lots of vitamins and doing the right things. And yet it came back. And felt like, is there something more? But I didn't know what it could possibly be. And that was a seed planted in my heart, but laying dormant for decades.
So what moved you from your curious into that sort of health and wellness and medicine to alternative therapies? Because I could see if you're really interested in cancer research and whatnot, you'd be looking at what's being taught in medical schools now. What made you look on alternatives?
That's a really good question. First of all, I never went into any of the cancer research or any medical research. I really it just got buried, just this feeling of, there's got to be something else. I didn't know how to approach it. I'll tell you, when I was at, and it was already a big 20-year lapse, and then another 20 years before I even got triggered with these very, very, very few words. I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting in Saratoga Springs. It's a very fine race town, resort town.
One of my favorite cities in New York.
Yeah, great. Oh, we loved it. We actually had a showroom there for our furniture, right? So I was at a Chamber of Commerce and networking, right? Meeting the other business owners. And one of the hotel owners, she said to me, I've started a side gig. She said, it's like a health technology. She said, I'm feeling better. And this is the 3 sentences she told me. She said, it's molecules. It's the same molecules the body makes, the healing molecules of the body. And something got turned on inside me, that which was like dormant and just wondering, that sounded like a solution to me. And so I investigated it and I thought, if this is real, then it's like a revolution. It's empowering the body to heal itself right at the fundamental level of when healing starts in the body.
So that's how you got into ASEA. You met someone at the Chamber of Commerce. That's so cool.
Yes, and not at all knowing this was going to happen. So ASEA found me.
Very cool. How long ago was that?
12 and a half years ago.
Wow. And so you did a little research and you went, yes, I want to be a part of this.
That's about it. Yep. I needed to do two things. I wanted to know, is there like this a real science, redox biochemistry, redox signaling? And number two, who's running it? Are they real people? Is this a real business? And I looked at it and it's like, it fit the bills for me. And I thought this is absolutely worth trying and incorporating in my life. And that was the best way for me to understand, is this real or not, was actually stepping in.
So did you become a customer before joining the team, so to speak?
I was so excited about what I was reading and what I was hearing and what it was, completely non-toxic and native to the body, that I started sharing it before I even got my products. And yes, I signed up. I wanted to be, I immediately got the vision of this can make a shift in the world, right? It can be a better way for us to live in our own bodies in this toxic world. That's really what we're suffering from, is hyper stress, hypertoxicity in the world, which is of man's doing. And here was something man was creating as a solution for us and to help us in this situation of the modern world. So I immediately wanted to be a part of the shift and a part of the business part.
Interesting, because I know other people who use ASEA, and I've seen the change from when it first started to, here, drink this, it's a supplement, to now there's gels and creams and other things expanding. So it's not just, here, drink this as a supplement. There's a whole line now.
Yeah, you're right. The first 5 years, because it was really rather early on, the company had just been formed. We were walking around with just one bottle, one product. And I tell you, for somebody who had never been exposed to network marketing, or multi-level marketing, any of that, home-based business, aside from my dad's photography business, which was amazing. But that kind of where you have teams and you're able to build organizations, I'd never been exposed to it. And so this was the very first time was with ASEA. And I'm so grateful for that.
Well, like I said, as someone who grew up with an entrepreneur, do you find that the multi-level marketing, or what they're calling networking marketing now, is a good entry point for someone who kind of wants to start their own business or start a gig or start a side business without having to start from scratch?
Oh, that's the key. Like our furniture business. Oh my goodness. You got to buy property. You got to buy machinery. You got to buy trucks and forklifts and boxes. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. What you have to get for a startup. This, all we do really, yes, I would say in an instant, yes. It's got to be a good fit for you, for your personality, whatever the product or service is in a network marketing company. But really our job, and that still amazes me 12 and a half years later, is I just need to share my story, right? I just need to share my story. I don't have to figure out how to stabilize the molecules. I don't have to get PhDs, a whole team of them, to make sure it's everything's stabilized and perfect, et cetera. I don't have to get all these different countries that work with the governments to get it registered and certified in each country. All I have to do is share my story, and the company takes care of everything else. For me, that was like mind-blowing. Like I say, I'd never even really come across this way of doing business ever in my life. And it's wonderful. You can really incorporate it. Like my friend, the hotel owner, said, it's a side gig, and she was doing it in the pockets of her life. And I have been doing that like very enthusiastically in the pockets of my life too.
No, absolutely. And a lot of people are doing that, even people who are still having 9 to 5 jobs. Everyone knows with layoffs, with pandemics, with whatever the future holds, there's no certainty. If you only have one income flow, what happens when that one income flow goes? Like you were saying with your husband, suddenly aviation industry didn't need ferry pilots anymore. Now what are you going to do?
Exactly. Exactly. So it's just like with our health. It's you want to be preventative. Like you want to think in terms. That's what I was looking for. Like, so that the diagnosis wouldn't get repeated. So that the cells could take care of themselves. It's the same with our finances. If we're not creating something vibrant and vital and sustainable, like ongoing, that's outside of ourself, which network marketing model can do for us. If we don't create that, yes, we have to put energy in and create that. If we don't do that before we need it, it's a bad space to be in. Suddenly I need it and it has to work like instantly. No, there's skills to learn for anything that we take upon us and engage in. And that's the same with the network marketing. But yes, I would absolutely recommend that we do that. Everyone find a side gig like that. It's brilliant. And I think it's the way of the future. I think we're franchising. Each one of us is franchising ourselves, so to speak.
The one thing I've heard people be concerned about network marketing is just like, oh God, I'm going to have to sell to my friends. It's like Avon all over again. And everyone's just going to be really annoyed with me constantly trying to pitch this stuff. How do you explain it to people who are just starting to get involved? How do you say, no, it's not just showing up at house parties and say, here, buy my stuff?
Yeah, no, it isn't. Well, the conversation with the redox is unique in that it's a whole new conversation. So there's a lot of education. So it's the simple thing of, do you know what redox is? Or if someone, it's just really, they say business is all about conversation. And so you create these conversations. And if someone expresses a need, then you can touch on it. It's like, well, this has helped my friend, and this is what I've been doing. And this has helped my husband, with he had terrible neck pain for decades. It was awful. It was just really, really awful. That's gone. I can share that story. It's all about sharing our stories. So it's not about hammering somebody over and over again, coming back to the same person that said, I'm good, I'm fine, thank you. And that's fine. It's like, well, great. That's awesome. I'm so glad. Let's change the subject and move on. Sometimes, people realize they have a need. It could be years later, and they may come and ask you about it. But it's not about constantly pushing and even about home parties necessarily. It's really just about letting people know. I consider myself a door opener. I open the door to the reality that this redox technology exists and it can be of benefit if they so choose to do so and incorporate it in their life. And if they say yes, then the next step is learning about it. And if they say no, it's like, that's cool.
Excellent. And one of the things they have about network marketing is if someone becomes a client and suddenly says, wow, this is really great. How can I be involved? You can actually help them.
Yes, it's beautiful. So it's really a word of mouth marketing. And we're inspired by others. What we're experiencing, we want others to experience. When we see people hurting, we know that they don't have to continue. There are solutions. There are advanced, holistic solutions and technologies. I see as a very, very, very advanced, way ahead of its time. And that's something that they deserve to know about it and can consider. And some people say, no, thank you. And some people are saying, where have you been? I've been praying for something like this. And thank you for speaking up.
Very cool. Well, you've had this really interesting past of flutes and furnitures and working with the CNO. What do you see your future? What other interesting adventures are you planning for your future?
Oh, other than a sail, well, I'm learning to sail a laser and I'm out on the lake by myself learning how to use it and I love it. So, at 64, learning on a whole new sport and, trying to take it to extreme levels. I'm not there yet, but it's exciting to be in a mind and body that is feeling younger and more vibrant and more flexible than I did when I was a younger woman, right? And to be together with my husband, both in good health and mind and still having, not only still, but maybe even more having that zest for life and adventure and with clear minds and agile bodies. That's very, very exciting. And I want to just let people know that that's available to all of us. And so the future, I see it more as like a community growing and understanding and better understanding, and people that want to being part of a community that we're growing for people that want to make a difference in the world, people that do want to take control of their health and have control of their finances, have an income coming in every week that is beyond even their activity, it's a legacy income. And I find that growing together with others in that community it's very, very exciting and very, very fulfilling.
Any words of wisdom for someone who's working a 9 to 5 job or just graduating high school or college and thinking about, I keep hearing all this entrepreneur and startups and gigs, and I don't know where to start. What's some advice for you?
Don't resist. If you're feeling that, if you even have one molecule of wondering whether entrepreneurship is for you, make the decision to start something. Start by looking, but start today. Listen, explore, and make a decision to step into the water and start swimming with it. Whether it's, just opening your own accounting office, right? Or photography business like my father, or starting a furniture business, very hard, by the way, and or finding a product or a service that really resonates with you. For me, it was the redox technology. Embrace it and go for it. And then find the people that will help you to grow, because this kind of business, we're in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. We're a community helping each other to grow.
Absolutely. And that's why we network so much. It's not networking only looking for potential customers and clients. It's the collaborators. It's the people who can help us and we can help them. They can introduce us to, I need help with bookkeeping. Oh, I know a guy. And that's what the network is. It could be 6 degrees of separation from someone who says, hey, do you know anyone who blah, blah, blah? 6 networking groups later, hey, yeah, I know someone. And that's kind of one of the powers there.
Do I know anyone that's really good at doing podcasts?
That's how I got one of my podcasting clients. It was someone who was a NEBA who heard somebody else say, oh, I just talked to somebody in another group and they were looking for someone. It was literally 5 different networking groups that I ended up making a client. And that's what pretty much all marketing is, network marketing. All sales is that evangelical sales. Because if you're really into something, you're going to be a much better storyteller. You're going to be a much more engaging person to talk with, as opposed to, hi, they've paid me to sell this thing. Do you want one? And yeah, it's hard enough to sell. In fact, when I was first starting my own agency, I was in corporate for 30 years. I gave myself 2 years to learn how to be an entrepreneur, how to run a business. I found coaches and books and mentors, and I was completely, do I have to pay taxes? What's a P&L? It's all the stuff you had, but it's all out there. There are books, there's speakers at libraries, there's SCORE, there's the SBA. All this information is out there, and they're looking to help you. So absolutely, even if you're like, well, I'm going to do 9 to 5, but then start looking for additional gigs, do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Even though I own my own business, I'm also a professional genealogist. That's another gig I have. And
Sweet.
because, yeah, one line of income dries up, I have others. Monetize your hobbies. Find something that you love to do that other people don't. Saying, hey, you don't want to do that. I'll do it for you, and it'll only cost you this much.
Yeah, to be creative, right? Don't shy away from it. Exactly. Look for those niches and those gaps of what people are needing. Just like with our furniture, somebody asked my husband to build something when he wasn't out flying around the world out of wood, and that led to a whole business for us, and has, been obviously very, very good for us all our life, all our married life. And that wouldn't have happened if he'd said, nah, or not gone to the store and showed him the pictures, or my dad showing just something simple. Like, it's taking action. It's making the decision and taking action. Overcoming, if you have any fear, just mustering up one molecule of braveness, right? Of courage, and stepping out and taking that step. And one step will lead to the other. And I have to say about network marketing, the professional and personal development that comes packaged in with it is really quite astonishing. So that is something, even if you're just looking for that, join a network marketing company, find one with a good ethos and something of value to people, and step out and do and create a life of your dreams, really.
Excellent. If someone wants to reach out and contact you, what's your contact information? What's your phone, email, website? How do we reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I have a website. I can give you my phone number. Do you want to scribble?
Yep.
315-717-6435. And Joanne, just text me. Say you saw this NEBA presentation and chat together with Meryl. I have to say that I absolutely love NEBA. We meet on Tuesdays at 8:30 Eastern Time, and it's such a really authentic group of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and individuals who want to be together, share with each other, collaborate, and grow their business and actually make a difference in the world.
That's why I show up every week as well. I'll make sure all your contact links are in the show notes. Thank you so much for all your time today. It was such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Meryl. Likewise, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for the New England Business Alliance podcast. Join us next time for more business resources.